Hello everyone. So today we are going to see how can we perform non-select operation using SQL and JPQL in the Spring Data JPA. So in the previous video we have seen how can we perform select operation using SQL and JPQL in the Spring Boot. So if you didn't watch that video, then you can watch that video. I will give the link of that video in the description. So in this video we will see how can we perform non-select operation using SQL and JPQL. So we need to take query and modifying methods in our repository interface. So in the case of select operation, we only use this @query, but while performing non-select, we have to use this both. So modifying indicate that the query is having the non-select SQL or JPQL query. So we must execute the non-select SQL or JPQL queries as the transactional environment queries, having the ability to commit or roll back the database operation. So for this we need to use this transactional annotation. Spring Data JPA does not support SQL or JPQL insert query because we have another method for inserting, that is repository.save. We have method. So Spring Data JPA does not support SQL or JPQL insert query. So we can use the above setup only for executing the update and delete non-select SQL or JPQL queries. So the @query and modifying methods return type is integer, as these are the non-select query. So let us see the practical. So here I am using Spring Tool Suite and the database is MySQL. So first of all, go to the files, then go to the new. Here we will create Spring Starter project, and here we will give the name as Spring Boot Data JPA non-select queries. Data JPA non-select. So then click on next. Then here we will give the dependencies, as we will take Lombok, then MySQL driver, then Spring Data JPA. Then click on next, and after that click on finish. So the project will be created here. So here we can see Spring Boot Data JPA non-select project is created. Now here go to the application .properties. So here we'll write some properties related to database. So first of all we'll write here data source properties. So Spring dot data source dot URL. As we are using here MySQL, so we have to give JDBC :MySQL :/local host port number of MySQL 3306/new. New is the schema name. I have already created a schema in the MySQL workbench. You can also create by clicking on this. Here you can see create a new schema. You can create the schema with your whatever name you have to take. I have created here a schema with the name new. So this URL we have to give JDBC :MySQL :/local 3306/schema name. Then we have to give the username and password. So Spring dot data source dot username, and the username is root. Spring dot data source dot password. So the username and password are the given at the time of downloading the MySQL. Next we'll give here some JPA properties. Spring dot JPA dot show SQL true. So this is for it will print the queries whatever that are executing. Then Spring dot JPA dot hibernate DDL auto, here we'll take update. Update means what? If the table is already present, then it will update that, otherwise it will create the table. Now next thing, in the pom.xml you can see whatever dependencies we are added. So in the pom.xml, here we can see MySQL connector J, as we are using MySQL database, then Lombok, then Spring Data JPA is there. Here you can see Spring Data JPA and also the Lombok. So this is added. Now next thing is, what you have to do, right click on this base package, and first of all what we'll do, we'll create the packages. So create a packages, com.app.model, com.app.model. This is the first package we will create. In that we'll create one class called employee. Go to the new, here we'll create class called employee. So this employee we have to map with the table. So for that we have to take here @entity, right? Here we'll take private integer emp id, then private string emp name, then private string dpt name, then private float double emp salary. So this will be the properties we will take. The next thing what we can do is get translator we have to generate. So we'll use here @data, it will create get translator. Also here we can give @noargs constructor, @allargs constructor, and so the table will be created with the name employee. So if you want to modify the name of the table, we can give here @table, and in that name here we'll give emp tab. So the name of table that will be created will be emp tab. Now this id emp id, if you want to take it as the primary key, so here we have to use the @id, and if you want to auto generate the value of this emp id, we have to take here @generated value, and strategy will be what? Identity, generation type dot identity in the case of MySQL. Otherwise if you are using Oracle, then we have to give the sequence, and if you don't know what to use, then you can give auto, it will be auto detected. So here we know that we are using MySQL, so we will take here generation type dot identity. That means the employee id will be auto generated. So the next thing, so the in the employee tab, the whatever the columns will be created, that column will be this variable name. So if you want to modify this name, we can also modify that by using @column, and we can give name equals to eid. So the column name will be eid. Next thing, I want to modify the name of this column also. So column name equals to ename, @column equals to name equals to dpt I want. Next thing is @column equals to name equals to esal. So what will happen here? Here one table will be created, and the name of that table will be emp tab, and the columns name will be what? eid, ename, department, employee salary. So this will be the column created here. So this emp tab will become here. Also this employee id we can see here, it will come here. Employee name, this will come here. Department, this will come here, and employee salary, this will come here. Now next thing is, we will create one repository interface. So right click on this base package, go to the new. Here we will create one package called repo. In the repo package, right click on this, go to the new. Here we will create one interface called interface employee repo z3. Then click on finish. Here the interface is created. Now we have to extend it from JPA repository. Here we have to give the whatever the class model, class name, employee, and in that place we have to give the whatever the primary key present, that data type, that is integer. So go here in the repository, paste here. So for importing this employee, press Ctrl Shift O. So this repository is done. Now next thing, first of all we'll save some data into our table, and after that we will perform some non-select queries. So for that we'll use here a runner. So right click on this base package and go to the new. Here we'll create one package called com.app.runner. Then in that runner, right click on this and go to the new. Here we'll create one class called test runner. Then here we'll implement from the command line runner, and we have to override one method, add an implemented method. So for executing this, we have to write here @component. Now first of all we will save some data into our table. So for that we have to take here a private interface employee repo z3 repo. Press Ctrl Shift O for importing this and add that auto void. Right. The next thing is we have to save some data. So repo.save. Here we will save new employee. So as the ID will be auto generated, so we have to give only the name, department name and salary. So for that I will create one constructor here. So generate a constructor using fields. So how to go here, right click on this and go to the source. Here we can see generate constructor using fields. So we'll exclude this emp id and generate, because the employee ID will be auto generated. We will only provide this name, department name and salary. So go to the test runner and new employee. First of all we will give here a name Sam. The next thing is department, and next thing is salary. So 10,000 I will give here, as this is double. Now let's save this. Let us see what is happening here, or why we are getting error. Here cast argument went to the yes. So the error is gone now because I have not saved this employee class. So because of that we are getting the error. Now this record will be inserted. Now again we will add some other Sam Smith, and the department will be QA. Here we will give 5,000, 6,000 BA, QA and BA. Here 1, next 5, and here we will take 6. Now let us change the name. Here we will take Brock, Angela, and here we can give the name as Raja Ram, right? And this will be saved into our table, and we can print by using repo.find all for each system out : print ln. So what will happen, the records will be saved and we are printing that record. So now let's execute and let us see whether this is executing or not. So press Ctrl F11 for running, then Spring Boot application, click on OK. here you can see the query: create table emp tab with the employee id integer, not null, auto increment, and department employee name, right? Next thing is it will inserted the record, insert into 5 times. How many times? 1 2 3 4 5 6. As we are inserting 6 records, so 6 times this query will be executed, that is this insert query. Now next thing is we are printing the records, so employee first we can see, second, third, fourth, and up to the 6th. So here we can see create table. As this table is not present in our database, so first of all it will create the table. Then why it is creating the table? Because in the application.properties we are right here update, so it will first check whether the table with the name emp tab is already available. If it is not available, then it will create that table. So first of all it will not, there was not table with the emp tab name, so it will create the table. So we can go to the MySQL workbench, and if I refresh here, you will find that in the emp tab here is emp tab, and click on this table icon. Here you will find that all the data is coming 1 to 6, and the employee ID will be auto generated as in the model class employee we have taken here, generated value status equal to identity. So now this is the data is there. So we will now perform non-select operation on this. So for performing in the interface employee repository, for the non-select queries, what you have to do? So as we have seen, we need to take a @query and @modifying method, and also the what @transactional. So let us go here, and here we will create one method called int modify. What we will do, first of all, modify salary by department, and we will take here string department comma, here we will take salary type will be double, and string department, right? So we have to write the SQL query. So how to write update? What is the table name? Employee. So in the SQL queries, what you have to do? This emp tab, the table name, instead of the table name, we have to take this class name, and instead of these column names, we have to take these variable names in the SQL queries. So update employee set. So here we have to modify the salary. So in the SQL queries, what we have to do, at the place of column name we have to take this variable name, the whatever we have created that class. So what is variable name? emp salary. So go to the repository, emp salary equals to colon, this variable name we have to give salary, where department. So in the employee, what is the variable name? DPT name, that we have to take. Go to the repository where department name equals to department, right? So this is a modify update salary using department. So as this is a non-select query, as we have to give here @modify. Also we have to take @transactional, and make sure that this transactional we have to import org.springframework.transaction.annotation.transactional. So we have written the update query. So only the thing different in select query and non-select queries, we have to add this 2 extra annotation, that is @modifying and transactional. So now let test this. So go to the test runner, Now this will not required here. So as this is a non-select query, so the return type of it is integer. That means it will return the how many rows are affected by this query. So go to the runner. Now the repo dot update, what was the name, modify, repo dot modify salary by department. So if I want to modify the salary to the 15,000 of the development department, so I will give here dev. So earlier in the department dev the salary was 1000, but here we are modifying to the 15,000. So as this is a non-select query, so return type will be integer. I will take here int count equal to repo dot modify, and we will print here sysout records updated count, and also we will print the records, modified records, to check whether the record are modified or not. So repo dot find all for each system dot out dot println. So this is done. Now let's execute this. So go to this main and press Ctrl F11. So here you can see the query update employee tab set employee salary equal to question mark and department equal to question mark, and record updated is 2. And here we can see earlier the salary was development department was 1000, now it is modified to 15,000. Also the Angela salary you can see and Sam salary. So if I go to the MySQL workbench, so I have not refreshed yet, so that's why it is showing 1000 and 1000 Angela and Sam's salary. So if I click on this refresh, you will find that the salary is now 15,000 and 15,000. So we successfully execute this method update. So as your requirement, you can give the update queries. Now next thing is we'll see the delete query, as this is also non-select query. So return type is int delete emp by, we'll take here id in the id range. So first of all int start, int end. Now we have to write the query, SQL query. So at that query, so delete from employee, and make sure that you should not give the table name here in the SQL query. You should give the this class name and whatever variable are present. So delete from employee, where what is the id in the employee, the variable name is emp id. So let me copy this, go to this, where employee id is greater than equals to the start value strt, and emp id is smaller than equals to this end value, right? So as this is a non-select query, we have to provide this modifying and add the transactional, right? So instead of giving this transactional at on above of each query, on above of this method, each method, we can give this, let me copy this, delete this, and also we can delete here, and we can give at the top of this interface. So instead of giving on the top of every non-select method, we can give at the top of interface. So let us save this. Now go to the test runner. Now it's time to go for repo.delete by emp id range. So in the table, if I want to delete from the records of 3 to 5, so starting id will be 3 and here the 5, right? And as this is a non-select query, so int count equals to, and here we will print record deleted. Now what will happen? Delete employee by id range 3 and 5 will go here and this query will be executed. So the start value will be go here, end value will be go here. So what is the start value we are giving? 3, and what is the end value will be 5. So the employee id which have within the 3 and 5 will be deleted, including 3 and 5. So this Brock, Angela and Raja will be deleted. So let us save this. Now let's test this. Go to this main, press Ctrl F11 for executing, and here you can see that the query is delete from emp tab where employee id is greater than and smaller than, and record deleted at 3, as the records will be 3, 4 and 5, employee id with 3, 4 and 5, and you can see that only the 3 records are remaining with the id 1 to 6 and all the other 3 records are deleted. So if I go here, earlier the table was this, now between 3 to 5 will be deleted. So if I refresh this, you can see that employee id will be 3, 4 and 5 will be deleted. So this is the way we can perform non-select operation using SQL and JPQL in the Spring Boot Data JPA. So if you like this video, then you can hit like button. I will give the link of this code in the description. You can go there and see this code. Also, I have created other videos on Spring Boot. So the link of the playlist and videos will be in the description. You can go there and watch that videos.